Hello and welcome back. If you're listening to this, you are officially a passenger on a new journey we're starting today.
Hmm.
Welcome to a special edition of the show. We're calling this the road trip.
That's right. And we aren't calling it a road trip because we're going on vacation.
No, definitely not.
We're calling it that because we are looking at a map. A very long, very winding, and honestly, a very bumpy map that has just been unfolded in front of all of us.
It really has. Usually when we sit down to do this, we're looking at a specific event, maybe something that happened yesterday or a report that just came out.
Yeah, something with a clear beginning and end.
Exactly.
Right.
We analyze it, we figure out what it means for next week, and we sort of move on. But today feels heavy. It feels different.
Feels different because the timeline just warped. I mean, to orient everyone listening, it is early 2026.
Right. Early 2026.
The next presidential election in the Philippines isn't until May 2028. That is 2 full years away.
2 years. In normal life, that's a long time. In politics, that is an eternity. An absolute eternity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Usually, at this point in the cycle, early 2026, we should be talking about governance. We should be talking about, the midterm elections coming up or legislative agendas or infrastructure projects.
Yeah, building mode.
We should be in building mode. But one major declaration has flipped the switch. We are now suddenly and undeniably in campaign mode.
And the person flipping that switch is none other than Vice President Sara Duterte.
She hasn't just flipped a switch, she has blown the fuse box. I mean, a major political figure, the second highest official in the land, has declared their candidacy for president in 2028. And she's done it significantly earlier than traditional timelines would ever suggest.
It's a move that changes the atmosphere from let's run the country to let's win the war.
It does.
So our mission today on this road trip is to unpack this. We aren't just reading the headlines. We need to understand the why. Why did this announcement happen now? Why burn the boats in early 2026?
We need to analyze the strategic chess moves, or maybe muscle flexing is the better term behind it. We have to look at how the allies and the opponents are reacting. And crucially, we have to explore what this means for the stability of the country moving forward.
Just a quick note before we start the engine. We are going to be analytical here. We are going to be critical, but we are going to be completely balanced.
Absolutely.
We aren't taking sides. We aren't wearing colors. We're just observing the terrain and checking the map.
That's the only way to survive this trip.
So buckle up, check your mirrors. Let's get this road trip started.
Let's drive.
Okay, so let's start with section 1, the announcement itself. Because this wasn't just a press release sent via email. This wasn't a tweet. This was theater.
It absolutely was theater. It was high drama. I mean, yes, on the surface, Vice President Sara Duterte officially announced her bid for the presidency. But you have to look at the visual symbolism she used. It was incredibly specific.
Take us into the room. What did it look like? I mean, for those of you who just read the news, you missed the most important part.
Exactly. So picture the scene. She walks up to the podium. Usually when a vice president speaks, what do you see on the front of the podium?
The seal. The official seal of the office.
The logo of the Office of the Vice President, the OVP. It represents the institution. It represents her role within the current government.
Right. It's like the badge of office. You don't take the badge off. It's part of the uniform.
Well, she did. Before she even said a word, she physically removed the OVP logo from the podium.
Wait, she actually took it off, like with her hands. I thought maybe it just wasn't there.
No. She walked up, and with her own hands, she detached it and set it aside.
Wow. That is heavy symbolism.
It's a visual divorce. It's a separation. She is distancing herself not just from the administration, but, almost from the very institution she currently occupies.
It was her way of saying, I'm not speaking to you as the VP right now.
Exactly. I'm not a bureaucrat. I'm not part of this system I'm about to criticize. I am speaking to you now as Sara, as an individual.
It's like taking off your wedding ring and putting it on the table right before you start a difficult conversation.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And the conversation was difficult because the speech that followed wasn't your typical, I have a dream launch speech.
No balloons and confetti?
No. It wasn't full of that kind of optimism. It felt more like, well, like you said, burning bridges.
Burning bridges is right. It was framed as an apology tour, which is just a bizarre way to launch a campaign. Usually you say, I'm great, not I'm sorry.
But look at what she was apologizing for. It was so specific. She asked for forgiveness from the Filipino people for helping President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. BBM win the previous election.
That is just mind-blowing when you really think about it. I mean, we all remember the Unite team, right?
Of course.
The red and green shirts, the holding hands on stage. They were the unstoppable duo. And now she's standing there saying, I'm sorry I helped him win.
It's a complete and total repudiation of that alliance. She framed her resignation from the cabinet back in 2025 and her current stance as a direct reaction to corruption.
Corruption, the magic word.
Yes. She specifically cited corruption in the national budget and a failure of the administration to deliver on its promises.
Did she get specific? Or was it just general, things are bad?
Oh, she brought a list, a laundry list, really. And it's a list of grievances that resonates with the average person. She started with the rising prices of goods.
Which everyone feels at the grocery store every single day.
Exactly. That's a gut punch. Then she talked about food insecurity. She mentioned a weak healthcare system, and she got specific, citing people dying because the system isn't effective.
So she's hitting all the kitchen table issues.
All of them. She brought up poor infrastructure, highlighting the flooding issues that plague so many cities. And then she pivoted to the law and order aspect. Crime, illegal drugs, terrorism.
That sounds like a greatest hits album of why the current government is failing. It's her father's playbook.
It is. And she added a lack of independent foreign policy to that list for good measure. Basically, she is positioning herself as the antidote to the very administration she helped install.
She's validating the anger of the people.
Yes. She's saying, you are right to be mad. I am mad too. In fact, I am so mad I am apologizing for my role in this.
That is a powerful psychological play. Validating the voters' anger is, that's politics 101.
It is. And the way she framed her own ambition, it wasn't, I want to be president because I'm the best. It was much darker, wasn't it?
It was very somber. She framed her candidacy not as an ambition, but as a burden, an offering.
Yes. There was this key quote that really stood out to me. She said, I cannot kneel before each and every Filipino to beg for forgiveness. Instead, I offer my life, my strength, and my future in the service of our nation.
I offer my life. That's intense. That's not campaign language. That's almost religious language.
It is.
Yeah.
And she leaned into that. She cited Proverbs 19.21. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails.
Right. The destiny card. This wasn't my plan, but it's God's will. I have no choice.
It frames her as this reluctant Messiah figure almost. I accepted that my life is unlike any other, she said. It's a powerful rhetorical device because it deflects accusations of power hunger.
How can you be power hungry if it's a burden?
Exactly. If it's a burden given by God, you can't refuse it. You aren't chasing power, you are carrying a cross.
And how did the media react to this? Did they get to grill her on these points like, hey, Madam VP, what about your budget issues? You talk about corruption.
No, and that's the final piece of this announcement strategy. It was a completely controlled narrative launch. When the press tried to ask questions, she shut it down immediately. She literally said, next time, not question.
Next time, nah. Wow. So, drop the bomb, remove the logo, apologize for the president, offer your life, quote the Bible, and then say, no questions, bye.
Control the message. Don't let the headlines be about your answers to tricky questions. Let the headline be the declaration itself. It was a masterclass in political communication, whether you agree with it or not.
Okay, so that's the what. Now we have to look at the when. This is section 2, the timing. Why now? It's early 2026.
It is historically wildly early. Usually politicians play coy until the year before the election, at least.
Right. The papaki pot, the whole, I am not running, I just happen to be visiting every province in the country to listen to the people game.
Exactly. But here she is, 2 years out, guns blazing. We have some interesting analysis on this from Professor Jean Encinas Franco. She describes this move quite simply as a gamble.
A gamble, because the early bird gets the worm, but in politics?
In politics, the early bird gets pummeled. Politics is a marathon, not a sprint. If you announce this early, you become the target. You are standing out in the open field for 2 full years, letting everyone take shots at you.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, early announcers often lose because they run out of steam, they run out of money, or they just get destroyed by attacks before the actual campaign period even starts.
So if it's such a big gamble, why take it? What's the strategy? She's not a rookie. She knows how this game is played. This feels less like a gamble and more like a calculated risk.
And that's where another analyst, Alan German, offers a very compelling take. He calls it muscle flexing, and more importantly, hanging a negative.
Hanging a negative. I love that term. But let's unpack it for the listeners who might not be political strategists. What does that actually mean?
Think of it like this. Imagine You know the police are about to raid your house. You know they're coming. If they just show up and raid it and they find something.
You look guilty. The headline is, Police Raid House, Find Evidence.
Right. But what if you run out the front door 5 minutes before the raid and you scream to the neighbors, "The police are corrupt. They're out to get me because I'm exposing their secrets."
Yeah.
Then, when the police show up,
It looks like retaliation. It looks like you were right all along. The headline is now, Whistleblower Targeted by Corrupt Police.
bingo. By announcing now, she changes the entire context of everything that happens to her from this point forward. There are investigations looming. There is serious talk of impeachment.
Right.
By declaring she is a candidate for president, she can now frame every single investigation, every impeachment complaint, not as a legal process, but as political persecution.
Ah, so if they investigate her confidential funds, she can just say, see, they're only doing this because I'm running for president. They're scared of me.
Exactly. It creates a narrative shield. It's not about accountability anymore. It's about politics.
Oh.
They're scared of me, so they are attacking me. It effectively hangs a negative label on any attempt to hold her accountable. It turns a legal problem into a political battle, which is a battle she thinks she can win in the court of public opinion.
That's incredibly smart. Devious, but smart. And what about the muscle flexing part?
That's about her base and, more importantly, her allies. It's about drawing the line. Both Professor Franco and Alan German point this out. By announcing now, she forces politicians to pick a side now.
No more fence sitting, no more playing both sides, no more I support the Unite team.
Exactly. That's over. You are either with Sara or you are against her. It's a survival mechanism. She needs to know who is truly loyal before the heat gets turned up. She's looking at her troops and saying, who is actually with me? Because she knows the administration is going to come down hard.
She's consolidating her forces for the war to come.
The war that she just started. And speaking of the administration coming down hard, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the impeachment.
Yes. The impeachment factor is huge here. The timing isn't just about 2028, it's about right now. The announcement coincides perfectly with these looming impeachment complaints in the House of Representatives.
It's almost like a strategic distraction. Hey, everyone, look over here, presidential race.
Don't look at this thing over here about the confidential funds.
It is. Alan German notes that this takes the wind out of the sails of the impeachment headlines. Instead of the headline being, VP faces impeachment for corruption, the headline becomes, VP runs for president. It completely shifts the conversation from her alleged misdeeds to her future ambitions.
And it also, it cements the total collapse of the Unite team. There's no coming back from this.
Oh, the Unite team is dead and buried. This is the unity break formalized. The alliance between the Marcos and Duterte families is over. We are back to a factional war.
So she's running to shield herself from impeachment. But is that shield actually going to work? Let's move to Section 3, the impeachment roadblock. Because the math here is trippy, and I want our listeners to really understand how this works. It's not just a simple vote.
The math and the mechanics are fascinating, and they're crucial to understanding the next few months. We have active impeachment complaints regarding the alleged misuse of funds, specifically the 125 million peso and the 612 million peso confidential funds issues.
612 million. That is a lot of confidential funds. That's a lot of money that doesn't have to be fully accounted for in the normal way.
It is a massive amount, and that is the core of the complaint. Now, Rep. Defensor has provided some analysis on the legislative realities here. He believes that at the committee level, the complaint will survive.
Okay, let's break down the process for everyone. Committee on Justice, that's the first step, right? A smaller group of congressmen.
Correct. The Committee on Justice will likely look at the complaint and say, yes, this is sufficient in form and substance. They'll find grounds to proceed. That's the easy part for the complainants.
But that's just the committee. That's not the whole House. That doesn't send it to the Senate.
Right. And this is where the express lane versus the local lane comes in.
I like express lanes. Sounds faster. How do you get in that one?
To get in the express lane, to fast-track the complaint directly to the Senate for trial, you need 1/3 of all the House members to sign the complaint immediately.
1/3. That's the magic number. A supermajority of sorts, but just for this part.
That is the magic number. If you get that 13 vote, boom. You bypass the long, drawn-out hearings, you bypass the debates in the plenary, it goes straight to the Senate for trial.
Does the opposition, or rather the administration allies who want her out, do they have that number right now? Is that even close?
Rip. Defensor says it's currently malabo, unlikely or unclear. As of today, they probably don't have the signatures for the express lane.
So they're stuck in the local lane, the slow lane.
This slow lane, which means it goes through the longer hearing process. They have to call witnesses. They have to present evidence. They have to debate it in the committee, then debate it on the floor.
But wait, isn't that actually worse for her in some ways? A fast trial is like ripping off a Band-Aid. But a long hearing process. That sounds like a reality TV show that airs every day for 6 months.
That is the double-edged sword. You are absolutely right. If they take the slow lane, the administration gets to air all the evidence over time. A daily drip, drip, drip of scandal.
Oh, yeah.
Today, in the impeachment hearing, we found this receipt. Today, this witness testified. Today, we uncovered this discrepancy. It keeps the issue in the news cycle constantly.
Abangan ang susunod na kabanata. Wait for the next chapter. Every night on the evening news.
Exactly. It erodes her public support slowly and methodically. It's death by 1,000 cuts.
And if it does eventually pass the House, after all that, the Senate becomes the jury.
The senator judges. And that brings us to the massive conflict of interest. Senator Risa Hontiveros spoke about this. She sits in the Senate. She's also a potential presidential candidate in 2028.
So you have a situation where a potential rival is acting as a judge for the VP.
Several potential rivals, probably.
That looks messy, optics-wise. I am judging the person I want to beat in 2 years.
It does. But Hontiveros insists they will judge based on evidence, not political maneuvering. She addresses the optics directly, saying they have a constitutional duty to be senator judges. But you can be sure the Duterte camp will use that.
Of course they will.
Look, my opponent is judging me. It's rigged. It's political persecution.
It goes right back to hanging a negative. It all fits together.
Precisely. Now, there is one more twist in this section. A theoretical play suggested by Profestiendo, the escape hatch.
Ooh, I like escape hatches. What is it?
Resignation.
Resigning as VP before the trial ends.
Yes. Professor Franco suggests that if impeachment looks certain, if she counts the votes in the Senate and realizes, I am going to lose, they're going to convict me. Basis Sara could resign from the vice presidency before the conviction comes down.
Why would she do that? Isn't that just quitting and admitting guilt?
Because the penalty for conviction in an impeachment trial is not just removal from office. It includes perpetual disqualification from holding public office. If you are convicted, you can never run for president. You can never run for dog catcher. You are done.
But if you resign before they convict you...
The impeachment trial becomes moot because you are no longer in office. You can't impeach someone who has already quit.
Yeah.
So you avoid the disqualification penalty.
That is a loophole the size of a truck.
It is. She would still face cases at the ombudsman criminal cases, but she would still be eligible to run for president in 2028.
So she quits the VP job to save her presidential run. That is 4D chess right there. Or maybe 4D desperation.
It's a high-stakes game of chicken. I'll quit before you can fire me so I can come back and be your boss.
Wow. Okay, so that's the VP's side. They have a plan. What about the other guys? Section 4, the opposition. How are they reacting to this early sprint? Are they panicking?
Well, they're scrambling a bit, but they're also regrouping. It's a mixed bag. Let's start with the Makabayan bloc, the progressive left. Rep. Franz Castro and Rep. Antonio Tinio. They are not impressed.
They usually aren't. What's their take on this?
They are dismissing the announcement entirely. They call it a gimmick. A gimmick. They say it's designed to intimidate Congress members who are looking into the confidential funds.
So they see it as a threat. Back off or you'll have to deal with me as a presidential candidate.
Exactly. But their main message to the public is, don't get distracted.
Right. Keep your eye on the ball.
And the ball, for them, is the money. They insist the real issue is the $612 million in confidential funds.
Yeah.
They're urging the public not to be boodle, not to be conned by the distraction. They want answers on the funds now, not political theater for an election 2 years away.
Don't get boodled. I like that. Focus on the receipts. But what about the so-called pink forces, the liberals, the Lenny Robredo camp? Are they launching their own candidate tomorrow?
No. They're taking a very different approach. Former VP Lenny Robredo was recently spotted meeting with key opposition figures.
Oh, really? Who was there?
The whole crew. We're talking Pico Pangilinan, Bam Aquino, Risa Hontiveros, Leila de Lima, Shel Diokno, and Franklin Drelon. The whole gang.
The Avengers assembling?
In a way. They're actively regrouping. But Senator Hontiveros mentions a very different timeline. She talks about late 2026 or even early 2027 to pick a standard bearer.
So they aren't rushing to match Sarah's announcement. They're not panicking.
No. They're trying to play the long game. Hontiveros emphasizes that their unity has to be based on shared values, anti-corruption, good governance, sovereignty, rather than just political convenience.
They want to build a real coalition that sticks, not just another marriage of convenience that falls apart.
That seems to be the goal. Learn the lessons from the past.
But can they win? That's the big question. We can talk about values all day, but elections are about math. What does the math look like?
This brings us to Alan German's back-of-the-envelope math. And honestly, for the opposition, it's a bit sobering.
Lay it on me. Give me the hard numbers.
He estimates that if you combine the Marcos forces, the current admin loyalists, with the pink-yellow forces, the traditional opposition, you are looking at approximately 28% of the electorate.
Wait, 28% combined? That seems really low.
That's his rough estimate of the hardcore base for those two groups. Meanwhile, the Duterte brand, just that name, that populist base, is sitting at approximately 35–40%.
Whoa. So even if the Marcos loyalists and the Robredo supporters teamed up, they still might lose. The math doesn't add up for them.
On paper right now, yes, there is a significant gap. And this leads to the orange theory.
The orange theory, like mixing paint.
Exactly. Red plus yellow equals orange. There is serious speculation about a consolidation of the red, Marcos, and pink-yellow liberal forces, specifically to defeat the green, Duterte forces.
Wow.
It's the classic, the enemy of my enemy is my friend scenario.
That would be the wildest political crossover event in Philippine history. I mean, the Marcoses and the liberals working together. These families have been feuding for 50 years.
It sounds impossible given the history, right? The core identity of the liberal side for decades has been anti-Marcos.
Yeah.
But politics is about addition. If the ultimate goal is to stop a Duterte return to power, you might see some very strange bedfellows. It would be consolidation of the center and the establishment against the populist right.
That is going to be a fascinating dynamic to watch. Can you even imagine the campaign rallies? Vote for us. We used to hate each other's guts, but now we're cool.
It would be awkward, to say the very least. But survival makes people do strange things.
Okay, let's talk about the variables we can't control. This brings us to Section 5. The wild cards and inflection points. Because the road trip never goes exactly as planned. There are always detours.
There are always bumps in the road. And one of the biggest enigmas right now is Senator Imee Marcos,
the president's sister, and also VP Sara's self-proclaimed bestie.
Yes. Her reaction to the announcement was, it was bizarre. It was sarcastic and contradictory all at once. She jokingly called herself Sara's forever running mate, referencing their public friendship.
Forever running mate. Okay. While her brother is the one Sara is actively attacking, that must be an awkward Sunday dinner at the Marcos house.
Extremely awkward. And then she made this incredibly odd critique. She actually agreed with Sara. She said the announcement gives hope because, and get this, she said the current government, her brother's administration, is messy, corrupt, and people are suffering.
She said that about her own brother's government.
She did. Ang gulo-gulo ng gobyerno, she said. The government is a mess. It highlights the internal fracturing even within the Marcos family itself.
So what's her game?
Who knows? Maybe it's Imee positioning herself as the populist Marcos, who is closer to the Dutertes than to what she might see as the elitist faction of her brother's admin. Or maybe she's just playing all sides.
It's like a telenovela.
Yeah.
The sister siding with the enemy against the brother. It makes her a huge wild card. We don't know where she will land when the rubber truly hits the road.
Exactly. And what about the black swans? The events we can't predict.
The truly unexpected.
Alan German points out two major ones. First, Scenario A. The health of former President Rodrigo Duterte, FPRRD.
The father, Daigong.
Yes. And we have to be cold and analytical here. This is what political scientists call necropolitics.
Necropolitics, the politics of death.
It is a powerful force in the Philippines. Think of Cory Aquino passing away before the 2010 election. That emotional wave swept her son Noynoy into power.
Right. The grief translates directly into votes. It's an emotional reaction, not a logical one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If former President Duterte were to pass away or suffer a major health crisis during the campaign, it could generate a massive sympathy vote, the martyrdom effect. It could galvanize his base in a way no speech or advertisement ever could. It would create an emotional wave that logic simply cannot stop.
That is a powerful, if morbid, factor to consider. And Scenario B?
The Tulfo factor.
Ah, the Telfer brothers.
Media personalities turned senators. Extremely high trust ratings. They have the populist appeal to rival the Duterte brand. They speak the same language. Tough talk, quick solutions, action agad.
So they are the only other players who can match Sara's populist gravity.
Exactly. They fish in the same pond. If the Tulfos run, or more likely if they align with one side, they could be the tiebreaker. Their alignment could shift that 35–40% base.
So where they go is critical.
Critical. If they go with the opposition, that orange theory, the math changes completely. If they go with Sara, it's probably game over. They are the kingmakers.
Or the kings themselves, potentially.
It's a distinct possibility. They are the variable that ruins everyone else's carefully laid out equations.
Okay, we are nearing the end of our road trip here. Let's pull over at the scenic overlook and do some editorializing. Section 6. The view from the road. What does all this mean for us, the passengers? For the regular Filipino?
It brings us to what I'm calling the distraction dilemma. With the campaign season effectively starting in early 2026, we have a massive problem. Governance takes a backseat.
Professor Franco warned about this, right? This is her main concern.
She did. She warned that politicians will now be completely distracted by campaigning rather than focusing on long-term development or solving immediate problems.
So instead of fixing the traffic on EDSA, or lowering the price of rice, or strengthening the healthcare system, they are going to be busy making speeches and attacking each other.
For 2 years.
For 2 full years, exactly. Every decision, every budget allocation, every legislative hearing will now be viewed through the lens of how does this help me or my candidate win in 2028? And that is dangerous for a developing nation. We can't afford 2 years of stagnation. We can't afford 2 years of campaign mode.
And the polarization, I feel like it's just going to get worse.
Oh, much worse. The country is heading toward a deeper split. It is no longer just administration versus opposition. That's too simple now.
Right.
It's a multifactional war. You have the Marcos admin, you have the Duterte opposition, and you have the traditional liberal opposition. It's a 3-way brawl.
Which has to be confusing for the voters, I assume. Who do you even vote against?
It does. And this is where the voters' responsibility comes in. Professor Franco made a great point. The Philippines has incredibly high voter turnout, nearly 80%. We love to vote. We are excited by elections. It's like a national festival. It is. It's a fiesta. A very loud, very long fiesta.
But she says that excitement needs to shift to discernment.
Discernment. That's the key word.
We need to look past the drama. We need to look past the burning bridges and the logo removals and the forever running mates. We have to look at the actual plans. The road trip isn't just about watching the car crash from the sidelines. It's about understanding who is driving and where they were taking the passengers. Us, the public.
That is a powerful thought. We are the passengers in this car. And if the driver decides to drive off a cliff, we go with them. Doesn't matter if we voted for them or not.
Exactly. We're all in the backseat together.
So let's wrap this up. We have a declaration. We have a looming impeachment with a clever escape hatch. We have a scrambling opposition trying to form an unlikely alliance. And we have 2 long years of intense political theater ahead of us.
It's going to be exhausting, but it's going to be absolutely critical to pay attention.
I want to leave our listener with a question. We've talked about strategy and math and timing, but here's the provocative thought for the day. Is this early announcement a sign of absolute strength? A warrior shouting her battle cry from the hilltop? Or is it a sign of panic, a cornered piece on the chessboard trying to flip the table before they lose?
And in a battle of giants, what happens to the grass? What happens to the common people while the elephants fight?
That is the question we all need to answer in the next 2 years.
Indeed.
Thanks for riding along on this road trip. I have a feeling we are going to need some spare tires and a lot of coffee for the journey ahead. Buckle up, because the road to 2028 is going to be bumpy.
Drive safe, everyone.
And join us for the next road trip as the story develops. We'll see you then.